Hey y'all, happy Saturday, and we are back for week 46 in our 52-week in the life of a art journal, 365 days, 52-week challenge. There's a lot of ways to say it. I probably said it a lot of different ways over the past 46 weeks. So we're still in our gratitude for the elements of nature, and today it's metal. And I have a fun technique that I do on the Gelli plate to create my metallic shimmery surfaces that I just love. Since I have such an earthy organic palette, I like to mix those metals and shimmers and stuff into my work. So especially metals, rusted metals are among my favorite things. So I love rusted metals and making rusted paper and all that kind of stuff. I have used rusted pieces of metal in my handmade books as well as my collage art for many years. I also use metals abundantly in paints, which we're going to be talking about. Hunting for these metals on long walks is an enjoyable pastime and ranks high among treasured found items. My gratitude for this element of nature is immense, and the joy that comes from connecting through my art contributes to texture, color, and the tactile aspects in my work. Let's take this week, let's take a closer look at the essence of metal. What qualities come to mind? Strength, stability, determination, dedication, goal orientation, perhaps. A great place to begin is understanding a metal personality in people. Independent in this first word that comes to mind. A person that's strong. So the idea of independent being the first thing that comes to mind, in my mind anyway. A person with strong metal qualities will most likely try to solve a problem by him or herself first. They also make great leaders. This is where metal's ability to conduct electricity comes into play. A metal person will spark an idea and know just the right path to take to communicate and create the idea into manifestation. Metals tend to be shiny. Metal personalities dive into the wonder of observing and touching shiny, luxurious objects. Harnessing metals qualities allows for patience and goodness in the process of creation. This is really brought to light in the fact that the circle symbolizes metal. The circle, infinite and pure, the sun. And you guys know how much I love circles. Although I'm not a metal person, let's say from an astrological standpoint, Earth. However, I really related to this idea of how metal can characterize in our personalities, and the idea that sometimes we have to have this patience in our work, right? And this consistency and sticking with it. And even though things may be messing up and we're kind of like can't get the process to work or something, like it's like being like metal. Just stay with it, stay to it, stick to it, and then as a result, what comes from that is not only just amazing but so rewarding. We feel so good about it, and with that, we've also been able to master another technique. So more insights into metal can be found in the Chinese zodiac, where metal is associated with the monkey and the rooster. Its season is autumn and its direction is west. Its colors are white, gold, silver, light gray, and soft pastels. Let's see. Interestingly enough, metal is also associated with the numbers 4 and 9. So, and birth years ending in 0 and 1. So it's interesting just to kind of think about like how you may be using different numbers. You might just be inspired with colors and stuff and not necessarily even think about where that comes from. Maybe you're naturally a metal person. It's amazing how all of these things really do figure into the language of our art. And that's why I brought that up this week, to sort of just think about how, and each of these elements has an attribute that goes with the human element, so just like astrology, every one of these metals can relate to us on some level. So I just chose this week to kind of turn our direction about all of these into how we're also wired around the elements and how we're affected by this. So some of the things you can think about this week is, do you use metal in your art, your paint? Any other favorite supplies that you can contribute to this element? As you journal and contemplate your creative process, incorporate the spirit of metal, gratitude in your work, and observe any revelations or discoveries that may surface. So yeah, metal's a good one. I love metallic stuff anyway, so that was an easy one for me. So let's go back to some of what I did last week with the decorative pages we made. So I was working, I kind of had a rough time with it because I knew I was going to do some collage, but I also wanted to kind of do something a little different. I wanted to use some of my materials differently, and I was kind of having a hard time figuring out what I wanted to do them with until I remembered that I had this old ledger book, and that my battery decided to time out right in the middle of my sentence, so I've got a fresh one in there now. So anyway, but yeah, I had been wanting to use these. I have another project that I'll be working with this ledger book in, and I thought, wow, wouldn't these be cool with this sort of, ledger pattern, and the colors were good. So I started working them with some of my old printables, some other papers, some other mark making papers that I have, and I really like the way they came out. They're just really fresh, and I really am loving them. So these are from my printables, and I'll link which month they were below. But yeah, these are the ones that we made, and you can see how the ledger paper really is an interesting contrast. Like, I wouldn't have necessarily originally thought ledger paper, but I do like them. And then some, this is some German text that I reproduced on onion skin. Here's a sliver there with the background paper, some more of that. Here we are on this side again. So integrating these papers, and yeah, I really enjoyed. I still want to do something up here. I was talking to my patrons about that. I hadn't decided what I want to put there, but I feel like it's something, it's sort of washed out on the screen, but if you put it close, you can see the lines are there, but that's just not enough, because if I look at these pages as a unit, then the eye goes around nicely, and then it kind of goes off. Like, it needs something that brings it back around. And I tried a number of things, but I haven't found just that right piece yet. So I'll come back to this, and when I do figure out what I'm going to put there, I will show you all. But yeah, but I had a lot of fun with these. Alrighty, let's get down to the table and start working on the technique we're going to do this week. All right, see you in a bit. So we are down on the table, and I have a fun technique. You all who've been following me for a while now know how much I love metallics. I just love to use, because I have a really earth tone palette that I really enjoy, and so I find that the metallics give my palette a nice bit of pop without being glitzy or too much. So I always look for very fine metallic products that just give a little shimmer or a little glow without being too much. So this particular technique, since we're focusing on metals, and metals, are so much a part of my art journey, from rusting, papers and using rusty bits, which I absolutely adore, to working with metallics in a lot of interesting ways, and just trying to come up with different techniques that really speak to my aesthetic. So this is a really fun one I'm going to show you. It's nice to work with small pieces of paper. You can definitely do large pieces, and I do, but if you just kind of want to play with different color combinations and just see what the various metallic shades will do, it's kind of fun to do them in this size, and these are perfect for our journals, or it's perfect to have a lot of different combinations for collaging and what have you. Now, I have some of the finishes that I've done, and I'll show you how to make these. Look how beautiful they are. Oh, they almost just look like Venetian wallpaper or something, or just, like this really beautiful papers. And you can also, of course, how I like to crumple them as well, because I feel like crumpling them it softens the paper too. Now, I just did this on good old copy paper. I decided I just wanted to do it on stuff that's easy and accessible for everyone, so it doesn't feel like I'm using some kind of exotic papers to get this technique. Though you could do it on the calligraphy papers, you can do it on are acid-free tissue papers. But I did them on the copier paper, as you can see here. And just these swatches and bits to be able to use in your collage is just, and it just looks like something that's been gilded. So I will show you these techniques. Let's first talk about what we're going to use. So you want to use some kind of chalk paint or matte medium. Acrylic, you know, your glossy acrylic doesn't work that well for this technique because you really need the pigments and the metallics to just absorb into the paper. So you get this really nice kind of, you can sort of see it, it's on the surface, but it really does kind of suck down into that chalky paint. And you know, you can get chalk paints for just a couple of dollars a bottle, so they're not expensive. You go to Joann's or Hobby Lobby or Michael's, places like that. And it's just about any brand chalk paint. The Waverly paints, I get those at, here in the States at Walmart or Joann's, Michael's, but I know that they sell Waverly in Europe, so that's easy to get. But any chalk paint or matte is perfect for this technique. The other thing I'm going to use is my Arteza mica powders, and they come, you get like a box of 60 of them, and I love these, and they really go a long way. I've been using and using them, and there's several golds, several type of silver, several blues and greens, and so you know, you get different tones of it, but you like don't run out. I mean, it's like, it's a lot. You get a lot in this box. So I love these Arteza mica powders. But if you don't have these, or you go and you decide you don't want to purchase them, these are cosmetic grade. Interestingly enough, you could actually do stuff for the body and for the face and everything with these, because they are, and it says on the box it's cosmetic grade. But I'm going to tell you a hack that works beautifully is, you know how we like our dollar stores? You can go to a dollar store or any place where you can get some really cheap makeup. You know how you can get those big palettes of a lot of color eyeshadows? Buy some of those. You know, just get the cheapo ones and take the palettes and just kind of, you know, using something to break it up. You know, it breaks up really nicely, and break it down really fine, and you can actually use the eyeshadows for this technique as well. So I love my mica powders, but it's essentially similar to what we're going to do. So the way we start this off is you want to start off by just jelly printing some backgrounds. So I'm going to start, I'm going to do, to show you this technique, I'm going to do a couple of blue. So you want to get a decent amount on here. So you kind of see I put like 2 dollops on there. Okay. So get that up, and I have this little bit left, so I just kind of cut up a sheet that I have. So I just will put it down like that to pick the rest of it up. And this blue will lay to the side. How come I didn't get it good to the top there? So we'll put this to the side, let it dry. Since I still have some blue on here, let's just pull another sheet. The trick with the chalk paint is not to let it dry, because it is chalky. So that's why I put a decent amount on there. So when I go to pull it, it's not going to stick. The paper won't stick to the plate if you just make sure that you've got, you know, enough down there. So that's good. Okay. So that's my blue. This is light blue in the Blick Matte acrylic. So let's go to, this one is Amethyst. I love this color. Same thing, Blick Matte. And you can get these online if you don't have a Blick in your area. If you want to do the same things, like I said, you can use any matte acrylic. So you don't have to go out your way. Literally, you can go. This is another one of those projects that you can do for under $10. You can go get yourself 2 or 3 colors of the acrylic because they're only a couple dollars a bottle. Pick up a couple of those eyeshadow palettes from the dollar store. And you can use any of your spray acrylics that you already, spray inks. You can use your Izink, you can use Tim Holtz, you can use shimmer mists, you can make your own, you can just use water. Now of course, if you use something with more pigment, you're going to get a little bit more shimmer, but literally you don't have to go out of your way to buy products. The trick is to use enough of your mica or your eyeshadow. That's the trick, honestly, because that's what's going to give you a lot of the shimmer and the pigment. And it's something about, well, I normally use my spray inks, and the spray inks have enough of a binder in it just to hold these pigments, but these pigments are so fine that literally, I'm going to just kind of clean the plate and clean my brayer here. Literally, you, what was I saying? Lost my train of thought there. You guys are probably talking to me right now, telling me what I was thinking about. It'll come back to me. But any of the sprays that you already have or what have you will work. Just have fun and experiment with. This is another opportunity just to make. I'm just really cleaning my plate, and so I always take a sheet of paper and clean it, and I will end up coming back and staining that too. But my third color is going to be Celadon, which is one of my most favorite colors with the Blick matte colors. And so yeah, just kind of tool around and figure. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You could also work these over any of your other prints that you've done. Are decorative papers. Now, not this part of it, but when we get to just doing the staining with the mica powders, you can literally just put them over papers you've already made if you want a little more shimmer on them. You can do this technique over jelly. Well, you really want to, you could do this sort of shimmer thing over other jelly papers that you've done. If you just want like a little extra shimmer on them. Just experiment. I'm a big experimenter. The only way I come up with a lot of this stuff is I'm just constantly experimenting. And sometimes things work, sometimes they don't, you know, but it always leads me to something else. So here, I still have enough left over and we have one more sheet. So let's just go ahead and clean this plate so we can get rid of all of this off the surface. Because when we go to the next part of this, you do want the surface to be clean. You don't want any paint on it. Because we're getting ready to do a resist, and we really do want the paint to resist on the plate, the spray. I'm just literally cleaning the plate right now. Okay, so, okay, the plate is nice and clean. It's still sticky. You want that little sticky feel to it. So now, kind of put these, just sort of lay these out right here in the drawer so they can dry individually without being stacked on top of each other. Because you do want them to be dry when you go on to this next technique. It just helps. And I may have a piece over here, kind of already dry. So while that one is drying, just go to this one. So one of the first things I like to do is, I'm going to do a combination. So I want this to have a lot of gold on top of it. So I'm going to spray maybe about 3 sprays of that Izink, but you could use any other colors that you have. And then to that, I'm add some more mica powder. Just, let me show you. Just a little bit. You know, it's not that much powder on there. You can sort of see it's, I don't know how to say I'm measuring it, but you can see it's not a lot. And then using a fresh brayer, I kind of start off by just kind of moving it around on the plate. And then you want this resist pattern. You want it to just kind of bubble up. And you just lay your paper down on top of it. Oh, yum. Love this. This just reminds me so much of like Venetian wallpaper or fabric and stuff. Look at this. See? See how you get this really cool kind of resist pattern with the gold. A little bit more I can put right on this edge. So you just do it, and you definitely want it to separate like that. So separating is a good thing. And then just let it absorb in. Oh, love it. You just get these really elegant sheets, and when they dry, they're even better. So put that one aside. Let that dry. So now this one is ready to go. So let's take this one and let's use the green. So I'm going to take maybe my white, which kind of has a tendency to clog, and a good 3 squirts or something like that. You want to get enough down there that, okay, so a little pile of it. I'll lift it up so maybe you can get a better idea of how much is on there. Just a little. It's going to stay behind. Even if it doesn't get all absorbed, it'll stay behind on the plate. So when you go to add more stuff, you'll just activate that powder. You'll find that powder will just keep on giving you stuff. It's not like you can't, it doesn't go away, you know. In other words, it'll stay. Some of it will still be on the plate, and you can just reactivate it when you go to put color down. Oh, look at that. So you can see the difference. Okay, so this is more green because I use that green. Let's see if I can get the color to camera to sort of show how green it is. This is really pretty green, and you can see against the blue how it's just changed that background. Put some more down. Let's just activate a little bit more. And then I'll get this top area. And the more generous you are with the spray, the more you'll get kind of like a wider pattern. So you can do, just kind of play around with the amount of liquid you put down, and it gives you different patterns. So let's put that down to dry. Because now I'm going to show you, you can even activate this right here with just, you know how I like my coffee. I'm going to use a little bit of coffee, but you could use water. So just kind of get it going all around your plate. So see, that really just gets your stuff going again. And let's just put it on this purple one. It was kind of a throwaway. So you can see, probably can see the color. And it's no wrong combination. They're all just good. So this one would be able to show you really good. You'll see the green. You can see a little bit of the coffee. And this was just a piece that I used to clean up with. So do you see that? How you get that really nice. So you could use water to activate it. I personally, you know, like my little bit of coffee, because then, like where I have that, where that white is, I'm just going to spray a little bit of coffee around, and that's just going to give me, and just let it sit and soak in, and that's going to give me another cool look. So let's keep going. Let's go to the greens now. Oh, and I do want to show you, I have another blue here. Let's use this one. For those of you who got the Licorice, you know it's one of my favorite in the Izinks. You can put this Licorice down, get a nice bit, and then roll it out. And then put the black down. I mean, put the blue. That's the same blue. Let it absorb. Now you can see here, when you put a lot, you'll get bigger patches of color, which is what I wanted to go for. I wanted to get rid of most of the blue, but you'll still see that blue because this is still like watery. So you're still going to see some of it come through. And I'm going to let that dry. Just do like that. And since I had this green that was a throwaway and I still have stuff on my plate, let me just go ahead and pick it up. I mean, see, it's like one of these things, you can get all kind of textures. There's almost really no wrong or no right way with this. Yes, I love it. It's just with that Celadon and that Licorice on top, and you can still see I'm picking up metallics because you can still see how shiny that is. That's coming from just the residue on the plate, because this one doesn't, the Izink doesn't, I mean this Licorice doesn't have metallic in it. So the only place the metallic came from was the extra that was on this plate. And you see that nice shimmer? Oh, love it. So now with the darker, even the blue, you see it's still so much shimmer down there. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I like both of these like this. I don't even want to, let me see, do I have another piece? I'm trying to show you something here, but I don't want to mess these up because I like the patterns that they made. So I'm gonna let these dry, because I know enough about this technique to know that those are going to be really cool. So since we have a lot of green, let me do it again. So let's see if we can get this. I really want a lot on here because I want to make it pretty dark. So let's just see if I can get this darker without stopping, because I'll stop at a level when I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I really like that pattern, but this time I'm going to ignore it, even though, see how I'm getting these really good patterns? I'm going to ignore it, and I'm just going to keep on going past that. So I want to build up like a double layer here. I really want it to get darker, so I'm just going to put a little bit more down so I can get this a little darker. And it's still nice because it'll get dark, but you can still see that color underneath it. So that bit of green and what have you just adds to the beauty of the paper that we're making. And this is just an old world technique. I actually call this technique Venetian plaster because it just reminds me so much of that kind of texture. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and we're going to come back to that one. In the meantime, let's take this green one, and let's use this lilac. It's a nice pinky tone. And I'm going to use, I'm going to use this copper. And then I'm going to put some of this lilac in it. Okay, and see if I can get this cleaned off, because this is kind of, I'm going to get some black in here if I use that one. Hold up, let me see if I can grab a clean brayer here. See if I have one at my fingertips. Let me see if I can use this one here. Okay. Okay. Yum. Okay. Yes, look at that. See how we get this real pinky coppery color? Let's get this. And all these little random places where it's, you know, I kind of still pick it up. Yeah, so this is my, Venice is one of my all-time places to go and just be inspired. So you can see, and when these dry, they're going to even be better. But I'm going to stop here because I like the pattern that we're getting, that sort of striation, but it's sort of like in that bubble pattern. And this sort of pinky lilac on this green, on this celadon, is classic. I just love it. So, got a little stack going here. Got a couple more I'm going to do. I'm going to let this dry a little bit more. So I'm going to go to the other lilac here. And let's just go back to some good old-fashioned gold. Now, I'll show you what this does without using the additional metallics. Because if you just have the sprays and you can't, you know, if you don't have the micas and you know, you don't want to run out, but you have this other stuff, this works beautifully. Me using the gold spray or any of the metallic sprays and then coming back with the mica, it's like having a double chocolate muffin. You know, it's like chocolate. Oh, look at this. Let me just pick up this little bit there since it's laying there. See how gorgeous it is? And that's just with the gold. And when it dries, these are always so much better. It's like so easy to do this technique. Okay. And let's take this one with, we haven't used the blue, did we? So let's put some blue. And let's use the antique pearl. And let's get a nice bit of blue. I'm just trying to get a little bit more. Oh, okay. And once again, let's swirl it around. See how it just gets to a beautiful blue? Because those, the micas are so fine that they actually can color whatever medium you're using. It's almost like a pigmented powder in a way. Yes. Let's get this here. So here we are. Once again. See that blue just laying on? I mean, as you pick up, it gives you a lot of color. So we'll put this down there. And let me see. Do I have any? Because I still have color on here. Let me, okay, so let's take this. I had this piece that we did from last week. You can literally just take some of the pigment and put it down on top. And let's just see what we get. Yes. Oh, that's gorgeous. Because there's still pigment on this plate. So this can add just a little bit of glimmer. See? My hands are like... The nice thing about this is cosmetic grade, so you don't have to worry about your hand getting it on your skin. But you get this nice shimmer, even on top of any papers that you've already done. Just pull your jelly plate out, get some liquid. It doesn't even have to be the sprays, because like I said, I'll just use some water so I can convince you of something here. Let's see, what do I have? You can literally just take some water to activate this, because there's still some color on this plate. You know what? Let's just do it on a good old, just a white sheet of paper so that you can see. Oh, here's one that I just have marks on it from last week. So let's just put it down and pick it up, because I really want you to see just what it's looking like just with plain paper. And that's just with me reactivating what was on the plate. See how beautiful that silvery color is? So, yeah, let's just get the rest of it. So literally you can use water and pigment and just rehydrate the plate. And you can use water. This is such a forgiving process. Any combination of what I'm showing you here, just grab it, grab your jelly plate, and think about, oh, I wanted to show you this one here. And just sort of think about working with some of these pigments and stuff differently. Now, what's nice if you have a dark surface, like the one that we just made here, you can either use black paper, you can take black, oh, I did not mean to do that. What am I thinking about? Okay, let me just get that off the plate. I was thinking black and talking, and so you know what we do when we get stuff we don't want? We just get some of our acid free tissue paper and sop it up. Let me just get a little bit more color down there. I'm going to activate the plate a little bit, and then open it up and just kind of put some of it down. It's going to make a nice paper too. Always use your tissue paper to clean your plate, because all of that material will make a nice bit of stained tissue paper to use as collage material. Okay. So I'll let this dry. Sometimes when you just do a little bit on here and you let it dry, you'd be surprised at how much you like it. And then sometimes if I feel like, oh, I want some more color, then when it's dry, I'll have it to the side, and then I'll come back when I'm doing another session and pull some of these pieces and then still clean up with them. Okay, so now what I meant to pull was the gold. So let's just use some of the gold, just the Izinks, or you could just use just the powder. Either way. And we just want to spread this out on here. In fact, I can use the black one now because I'm going to be doing it on black. Just kind of want to do it so that it starts collecting. I hope that just stopped. So anyhow, I was showing you, I was putting the gold down, and I wanted to show you how it collected. You want that separation on the plate. So I'm not quite sure where that stopped, but I think it just stopped. So I just sprayed some of the gold on the plate. That's all I did, and just kind of moved it around. And now we're going to use this dark black background to pick up that gold. And you see, oh, so you see the difference between just the flat black and this. You can see that line. So let's get the rest of it here. This makes some of the prettiest paper. And to be able to use this in your work, you know, your collaging along with, I just kind of sometimes will clean the brayer off. Along with, that's just gorgeous. To be able to use this in your work along with the other papers that you make, your other jelly prints, to use this technique on top of jelly prints that you've already done, especially the glazing, not because, you know, if you use the solid color, you're going to get rid of your jelly print. But you can certainly do this over top of it, just like I showed you here. If you just want to add a little bit more metallic, or just, you know, just kind of exciting. Maybe you have some jelly prints that are not too exciting, and you're like, just try this. This may be to your liking. So let's pull up the ones that, so you can see them. They're dry. I can't wait to use all of these. They're just, you can see how the color just really pops on them. So these are those ones that were my cleanup colors. This one is another one. Let me pick all of these up. I think this was a cleanup one also. Yeah, these two are the cleanup. This is the one that I sprayed the extra coffee on. And see how it's got, I'm getting that coffee staining on it, which I love. Just bits of it. Over top of where that green metallic is. So, let me stay in some kind of order. This is the one that was a cleanup, but I really liked, I just like the patterning on that. Here's another one. That's a lilac with the rose gold on it. This is the blue with some of the, I think this was the blue green on there. Oh, look at this one. This green, that sort of green blue with this gold. That's so Venetian. Look how beautiful it is. Just on copier paper and some micas. Some sprays. You could use water. You could use coffee. You could use any kind of liquid. You don't have to stick. You can experiment. And this is that blue on that lilac. Oh, this is just gorgeous. So one of the ways I like, and this is the black that we just did. So good. So I will be back in a little bit when these are all dry. And like I said, you can these are some more that I made before, but you can keep them flat. You can crinkle them. You can do a lot of things, but I'll come back and I'll do a collage with these in my journal, and I will probably use my printables from last, I think it was the February printables called Amadeus. So if you got the February of, was it 2021? My goodness. I think it was just this past February. It's called Amadeus. If you have those printables, pull them out because I'll be using them. And if you don't, I'll make sure that I put a link down. But they have a lot of Baroque and Fortuny silk patterns in them. They're just traditional patterns that just came out of, you know, a vintage archive that I turned into printables. But they look so good with these patterns. You just get such a pretty, almost classic type of print. So hopefully this kind of got you thinking a little differently about metallics, about some of the powders that you have around, your spray inks, just working with the Gelli plate a little differently, allowing it to bead up and just, you know, sort of getting these really amorphous sort of water patterns that are just really crazy beautiful. This light picks up a lot, so it's kind of hard to really appreciate it. It makes it really kind of washes it out. But, you know, in person, they are just amazing. So, I hope you love that session. And I'll be back in a minute to do a collage with these. Alrighty. See you in a bit. Okay, so we are back to finish our collage. And as much as I was talking about how these papers reminded me of Venetian plaster and, you know, the Fortuny silks I was talking about, and just Venice in general, these sort of dreamy color tones, I thought, how about I take and make a small collage, like incorporating maybe like the Basilica at San Marco's Square, the Palazzo, some of the papers from my, this is the Amadeus series, and I'll put this below the video, these printables of all kinds of brocades, and look at these patterns. And then some of them I have my, I did, you know, some of the collages, and some of these are some of the papers that I made. So it's a really beautiful pack of all kinds of yummies. Here's some more of that same sort of technique that we did. So, I don't know. So I kind of got a couple of pictures, and I liked this one. So I think, you know what I think I'm going to do is, my idea is to cut this out. So I will be doing a little fussy cutting, guys. And kind of do a collage with this as the background. And this is the background. And with some other papers I saw here. So in this one here, This right here, I just love that fabric. It's very sort of that dreamy, but it's a blue quality, and I think it's kind of reminiscent of water as well. So I don't know if I'll kind of use this as a part of this collage. Sort of like kind of thinking maybe, I don't know. I'm just going to play. See what I end up with. Just gonna think about, let me fussy cut this out. Just want to get some of this because I was trying to find one that kind of gave more of a silhouette, which I feel that this does. Let me just kind of get this out. I love all the domes and the spires on this basilica. I just think it's so pretty. I'm convinced that the colors of Venice has to be because of the canals, all the water that it's surrounded with. It's just some of the prettiest blues and greens that you want to see. And with the old world architecture, the texture and the color of the architecture is just. So I was saying that earlier I was thinking that I got to Venice the last time I was in Venice, I got there just before, about a year before the, before the COVID hit, which is 2021, and I was there in July of 2019. I had been in France and everything too, but when I get that close to Venice, I normally will try to pop up to Venice or take a train into Venice, because I was in Rome on another venture or adventure, however you want to say it. Let me see how much of that I want to use. So this blue back there works nicely with the blue there. I mean, it does look how good that looks. That looks like the sky, like the sunrise or set behind the buildings, the way that gold is. But let me just get, it's a little bit of white on here I want to get off. So I'm kind of glad about that. That helped me get through. So I think I'm going to rip the bottom of this just to kind of get a cool irregular edge. And then let me see. Okay, so I like that. Ooh, that looks good. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down some. So it's not, look how pretty that is. Just that photo on the background. It's just, so I think this, what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of this in to get some different texture down here. And so maybe I'll put this in there like that. Just kind of overlap it. And then I'm going to get a little bit of, really attracted to this, this pattern right here. So I feel like, let's see. I feel like I can anchor this building in this pattern. Oh yeah, that's nice. So it almost, it has this sort of quality of, let me see which way I want to put this. Actually, I liked it the other way because it really did ground it. It made it look like it was sitting. Oh, I love that. Let me go ahead and glue some of this down and then see what else I'm going to do. Let me move these out the way. I really like this. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down first. And just kind of... Okay. Let's just go ahead and glue this down. These backgrounds are just, I'm telling you, you can just use them in so many different ways. They're just so beautiful. Just be inspired to see what comes up for you. Okay, get another piece down here. Okay, there you go. So then this is going to be the next piece. This down. So I kind of want to, because I want to keep that, this layer of gold right there. It's so pretty. And then this will anchor on top of it like that. That looks good. And then it's a nice height behind it for the sky. Okay, so let me use the Uhu because I do not want to break off any of my little spires. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those first. Okay, so let's see. Oh, love it. So you see how that gold really plays as the sky. It's so nice. And this little bit in here is sort of like grounding it. So I think what I'm doing is I could put a little bit of this. I don't know. To kind of extend it. Maybe not. I wouldn't mind a little something here on this. Oh, that's what I'll do. Okay, so let me just tear this off. Get rid of that white edge. And let's go ahead and cut this bottom. And let me see. So let's get the top flush as well. Get a nice straight cut here. Okay, so now let's just move this over and kind of see how I'm going to anchor this. So I don't really want that much pink because I feel like I don't want to overpower the whole print, but I want a little bit so that it just offsets the actual, yeah. So it just kind of gives a frame. Just a bit. Oh, that's pretty. So let's go ahead and, well, I need to go ahead and like that. That's so pretty. Oh, I love it. It almost looks like a postcard, right? See, we could make postcards. Could make, oh, I meant to only do this one edge because I don't want to put that down yet. Oh well, I'll just glue it again. Let me get this where I wanted it. So you could move to Venice and make artist-inspired postcards. That's an idea. Okay, so. Okay, so now let's go ahead and glue this up so we can put it down. Oh, I'm going to have fun this week working with some more images and making some more of these. We'll call them postcards, right? Postcards from Venice. That will be this collection, this series. Funny, I didn't think postcard until I put that pink border on there. And it just sort of looked like with this finished image. Okay. Let's put that down. Okay, let me get a... Oh, look at this. Love it. I just had that inspiration as we were working. When I was thinking about what I wanted to make, I was like, oh my goodness, I could just like be inspired by some of the Venetian skyline, and then just kind of collage with these fabrics, with these papers I had already done, this paper pack. So here we are done. So yeah, let's make some postcards from Venice or wherever your favorite place is. It doesn't have to be Venice, but this idea of making the papers and using the patterns and work it into an image that, you know, will be reminiscent of your favorite place. Alrighty, well, this has been a lot of fun. As always, enjoy the rest of your weekend, your Saturday and Sunday. And if you're new to my channel, please hit the bell and subscribe. Hit all so you get all the notifications. And if you enjoyed the video, thumb it up. And aside from that, enjoy yourself in your studio. And hopefully this little technique inspires you just to continue to make your decorative papers. And yeah, just have a lot of fun. Just that little bit turned out nice. And it's still a place that can be a writing spot, but we just added a little bit more color to it. All right, take care. Love you all and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.